Hey, there you are.
Oh, what's up,
What's
Gianni?
up, man? How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Man, so how's everything been going for you so far? I see you've been able to open your gym, but how's everything been since this whole thing happened for you?
Oh, you know,
Yeah,
just a bit of a process,
yeah,
trying to navigate through it and, figure things out, get to a good place. The first couple of weeks were really tough. I had
hmm.
just had my grand opening
Oh
uh, at,
man,
at the end of February, and we had over 200 people on the mats.
yeah,
And it was an amazing weekend. And then less than 2 weeks later, we had to close.
mm,
So
yeah,
just like for me personally, it was a tough time, working so hard to get in this beautiful school and make that dream come true, and then boom, close the doors. So um, yeah, it was hard, but honestly, um, um, for everyone it's different, and I don't want to make it sound like it's a good thing, but uh, personally, like the little journey that I went on inside the quarantine got me to a very good place,
mm,
and I'm actually very grateful for it because I got to start some projects that have been on my mind for a little while, and kind of realign my, just having that time for reflection, create new
yeah,
goals, and realign my purpose, and what I'm trying to achieve and accomplish, at this new stage of my career and everything. So it just gave me that time to figure things out, and I've made the most of it. Been very productive. And like I said, I'm very, I'm grateful for the growth that I've managed to achieve during this time. And yeah, we reopened our doors this week. Um, so super happy about that, obviously. Um, and we're obviously doing a lot of modifications.
yeah,
We have a solo mobility class that we're offering right now. So like, Budokan. I don't know if you're familiar with Budokan.
hmm,
Yeah, Cameron Shane. He's a great friend of mine. He's a teacher of mine, um, and so I'm bringing a lot of like flows, like yoga, animal style movement, and of course jujitsu movements, and turning it into just a nice little body weight workout class. And so we're running those right now to get people back on the mats. We're also doing Muay Thai classes, which are much easier, to spread everybody out and have them work on their combinations, hit the bags, and stuff like that. And then we are doing a jiu-jitsu partner class,
okay,
where people can bring someone that they've been in quarantine with, like a loved one, a family member, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever, and we loan them a gi, and
mm,
they can do a class together. So no previous experience required. We're not even trying to restrict it to students. It's open for everybody. If you are a student and you have someone that you've been around during the quarantine, and they're cool with getting on the mats with you, then we bring them in, and see. Let me see if I can show you. We have all
yeah,
these like designated squares on the mat, and little X's where
mm,
we take their temperatures. We spray them down with sanitizing stuff,
yeah,
and then we kind of guide them in, and position them on their spots on the mat.
mm,
Uh, and I have my spot, and then I teach from afar, and we kind of watch and try to correct and coach everyone in our own little spots, and we have a class.
yeah,
And so far, so good. Wednesday night, we had a really beautiful night. We had just about 30 people in the class,
wow, nice,
and probably a good around 8 to 10 of those people were non-students. It was literally their first jiu-jitsu class ever, and they came in to be with their friend or loved one, and it was a really beautiful thing to see. And so it's giving us an opportunity to reach some people that haven't made jiu-jitsu or martial arts a part of their life yet. And hopefully when it's all said and done, um, they'll fall in love with it by then, and they'll want to jump in and start training too.
Yeah, that's an awesome way to kind of, or it's a different way to like maybe find new people eventually. I wasn't sure how if new people would want to join jiu-jitsu, especially after a whole like pandemic. That wouldn't
Yeah.
be, I think for a new person, that wouldn't be the first thing that crossed their mind. But if they have a loved one that's training and maybe they didn't train before, I would think that'd be
Hmm.
a pretty unique way of getting students to kind of come in. It's kind of like having a, real trial class right there.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And a lot of them were people that have thought about it before,
Mhm.
but they just didn't have that push. And during this time, trying to be there for whoever is asking them to come with them, it's kind of perfect to give them that little nudge to get on the mats. And like I said, hopefully they'll want to add it to their lives as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about like being able to set like different goals for being off the mat. For me, it was like, I don't know, you said you had to make an adjustment, and I'm
Hmm.
sure like you had about a day or two where you're just like, fuck, this sucks. It's just like, kind of don't know what to do the first time around. For me, it was like we were both supposed to do the fight to win, I remember,
Yeah.
and that got canceled. And I remember I just kind of went through a 2-day period where I'm like, I'm just eating bad and not doing anything. I couldn't really figure out where to go from there.
Mine was 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, so now I don't feel quite as bad. Um, yeah, so I went through a small period where I'm like, man, what the hell am I gonna do? But then I remember thinking like I want to be able to leave this period of time better than when I came into it.
Hmm.
And I realized the amount of time I spend training, I don't really get an opportunity to do much else off the mat. Like do these live chats, connect with different people,
Yeah.
focus on my brand on grip tape and stuff like that. So I'm not very good at doing anything off the mat. So this has given me an opportunity to try to find some things to improve on.
Hmm.
When you leave this, what are some things that you feel like maybe you've improved upon during this time? Maybe big or small, whatever you think.
Oh man, well, very very similar to you, and your process as well. Like you said, I went into that same little depression. I had events, that fight to win. I was also going to compete at the Pans, and
Yeah.
that was going to be my return to gi competition after almost 3 years. So I was super bummed out, and like with the other stuff that I had going on, like not being able to fight anymore in MMA. Jujitsu was like my fallback plan. I was like, okay, well, as long as I can still do jujitsu and have that driving force, to keep competing and everything, at least I still feel a bit like my normal self. And then when that got taken away too, and then I closed my business, and it was just like, oh my God, I don't
Yeah.
have I don't have a goal. I don't have something to push me, because
Hmm.
my whole life there's always been an event or something to prepare for, to bring out the best in me, at least physically. And and then of course I've had my business now for over 10 years, and that's always a constant motivation as well, trying to better my business and do bigger and better things for my students in my school. And then it was like, okay, what am I doing? What am I working on? And I really just kind of like you, embraced the online nature of everything. And
Yeah.
I had a Facebook group that I had just started right before quarantine hit, because I was going to really just get back to jiu-jitsu this year. My MMA career, just it took so much time, focus, energy, training 3 4 times a day, and then trying to recover and then still run the school. I had gotten away from doing like DVDs and really just sharing my knowledge, at least on a bigger scale. Of course, I do it every day here in my school, but worldwide, like releasing products and teaching. I was really big on that like almost 10 years ago. And then when MMA came on for me, I started doing little or less and less and less until I was hardly doing any at all. And so I knew I wanted to get back into it.
Yeah.
So I'd already created this Facebook group, and then I just started like putting out a lot more content, just stepping up the online game, really embracing the online classes for my students and the Zooms and the Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives. I mean, I've done every live there is during this time. And, just kind of really reflecting and thinking about my journey and all the lessons that I have to share and trying to put that out there for the people in my group and for my students. I mean, I was making videos for them basically every day on top of the live classes, and a lot of them
Yeah.
would be videos just like this where I'm just talking and just trying to get in their heads a little bit and guide them through whatever's going on with them and help them with their frustrations and whatnot, and just really just put out positive energy, man. That's all what
Yeah.
it comes down to, is just trying to put something positive out there every day. That's like, if you've been seeing my Instagram, I've been talking a lot more, longer posts, really inspirational stuff. And, that's that, like, really, the everyone that follows me, all the people out there gave me the reason to, like, man, who am I? Like, when everyone needs that bit of positive energy, that source of positivity in their life, and I have all these followers, how can I be like sad right now? How can I be negative, or depressed?
Hmm.
It's like I need to step my game up, if not for me, but for them.
Yeah.
And when I really kind of came to that place and I fully embraced it, man, I just got into a great zone. And it's really just been running through me every day, with my group, organizing all my old footage and putting out YouTube stuff and all the live classes. I've been filming a lot. I'm preparing to launch a new website, and I started on a book as well.
Wow.
And that's
Nice.
been something on my list for several years. And if it wasn't for this quarantine, I probably,
Hmm.
who knows how much longer it would have been before I actually dived in and got it going. And now I mean, it's happening. I've made my deal with a publishing company, and I'm committed now 100%. I have my meetings every week, and so it's going to get done, without a doubt. And that's just been another great thing for me to process and really organize my thoughts and what I have to say. And so, yeah, I have all of that. And then the row machine has been my greatest opponent these days, which is really just me battling myself. And I know you've
Hmm.
been on the row machine. We've been kind of sharing our numbers with each other. I see your stories and stuff. It's awesome how you've been staying so physically prepared and taking care of yourself during this time. But the row machine has uh, has given me that bit of a fight, a feeling of a fight. Like,
Yeah.
kind of having to dig deep and deal with my own mental, self-talk and everything that's going on in my head, and push myself.
Mm.
And I just fell in love with it, and I'm happy that I was able to achieve my goal. It took me a month, preparing and building up to what I was trying to do. But now that I did it, I'm pretty good for a little while. I don't need to jump on for 30 minutes
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've been riding a bike as well. I got my first adult bike,
Yeah.
and
Well, your first adult bike now? You
yeah,
didn't have one
yeah.
before?
Nope, I haven't had a
All
bike since
right.
I was a kid. I mean, I'm on the
Wow.
Airdyne and I'm on the row machine and
Yeah.
I'm
That's
training and
that's different. Yeah.
I'm doing all this other stuff. I never thought, hey, I need a bike. Um,
Mm.
and this pushed me to get it. And so me and my fiance, we both got bikes, and we've been riding every weekend and sometimes during the week too. That's something I'll definitely keep up. Um, but really, it's mainly just the content that I've been putting out there. I'm not going to stop. I've kind of really embraced the influencer role a lot more, whereas I used to be maybe a little more reserved, or I would save all my energy for real life stuff, like just
Hmm.
delivering a great class or whatever, in real life, or just my training or being with my team. And now I'm like, you know what? I need to just be putting that out there for everybody all the time. And so I've just stepped up my posting game, and just, the positivity that I put out there for everybody.
Man, that's awesome. It sounds like you did like a complete 180 there, from having those couple weeks of not being sure what to do to finding so many different things. I mean,
100%.
I can't even, you named a lot right there that you've been
Mhm.
doing, and that's awesome. And without this time, you probably wouldn't have that opportunity to do that.
Exactly.
Um, yes, I mean that's great. I was gonna ask about the row machine. What's the strategy behind that? What like for me? I think I did. And yeah, definitely you can't do it every day. I've been trying to
Mm-mm.
get better numbers, and then today I was like, I looked at it for a second. I'm like, nah, screw that.
Yeah.
But what was kind of like the strategy to get? Is there like a certain like? Because I did 20 minutes. I got like an average of 7,800 meters, which I thought was all right. But I'm thinking, shit, I got to do that for another 10 and pick up the pace more. Is it
Hmm.
like sprints, or was it kind of just a consistent pace the entire time you're doing?
No, so normally the row machine's been a big part of my training for a while. Actually a long time.
Hmm.
Definitely at least a decade. I've been rowing, um, and normally it was always for sprints. So I would do, you know, 500-meter sprints, maybe 1,000 every now and then, but
Yeah.
usually 500 meters or less, just to go hard for anywhere from like 30 seconds to 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And of course, it builds up the lactic acid. It gets your lungs. I mean, you feel its total body. It's perfect for jiu-jitsu, for mixed martial arts, and that with the airdyne and the ski erg. I don't know if you're familiar with the ski erg with Concept 2. Where
I've
it's like
seen
you're
that. Yeah, yeah,
skiing.
yeah.
That
That
one is
shit
really,
sucks.
really great. I did that a lot for MMA, because it really wears on the shoulders, like when you're up against the cage or trying to do ground and pound. And so I would always just blend those together, and mainly it came down to sprint work, is what I would use the row machine for. Every now and then I would try to go 2,000 meters and do it under 7 minutes. And that was
Okay.
really about the longest I would go. And my best 2,000-meter time was like 6:40, which is pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I was, okay, happy about that. But um, my strength and conditioning coach, he's much, I call him that. He's really more like a physical awareness, performance, like sensei. I mean, he's a real samurai. This
Yeah.
guy is he lives his craft. He breathes his craft. He's an incredible teacher. His name's Luke Tyree, and he has his green strength system that he preaches. And he's been my trainer now for 10 years, over 10 years. And he really got me into active recovery and like taking walks and just moving for the sake of moving. And inside of that, I started doing a lot of long airdyne rides. And so at least
Yeah.
once a week, I would ride the bike, the airdyne bike, for 45 minutes to an hour.
Hmm.
And keeping a moderate, like somewhere around like 65 RPMs, for that whole time. And there's a lot of studies about how good that is for you, for your endurance capacity, keeping your heart rate at a certain level. I'm not sprinting, but it's consistent, consistent, solid work. And when I was fighting MMA and I would have to lose quite a bit of weight, it was a great way for me to burn calories without getting too sore. And that plus walks and just putting on the music and just zoning out, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't own an Airdyne bike, and but I own a row machine. And like at one point in the middle of the quarantine, I was just like, you know what? I'm kind of missing that long endurance work. And so I want to see how long I can row for. I want to try for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And oh man, once I got over 10 minutes, I was dying. I was just like, man, I
Yeah.
want off this thing so bad, so bad.
Yeah.
And I pushed myself to get to 20. And my time, it was nowhere. Like I was shocked at how, like I can get that thing down to like 115, where it's saying 115 for my 500 meter,
Holy
I'm
shit.
like, rah, rah. And plus I'm long, so I have an advantage on the row machine, and I can hit 500 meters in the low 120s. And and then seeing my average go up so high once I got over 10 minutes, I was like, dude, I suck at this. Like I just felt, you know, I wasn't happy with my performance.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, there's my target right there. I set new goals, and I wanted to get up to 30 minutes. And then once I did hit 30 minutes, I realized that I was not that far away from 8,000 meters. And so I was like, okay, there's my goal. Let me get 8,000 meters in 30 minutes. And you know, I had to tweak a lot of how I was rowing. I was doing too many strokes. I needed to slow my pace and just make sure I was using my arms a lot
Yeah.
more inside the first 10 minutes, so I could save my legs a bit for the end. And
Okay.
um, and so I figured out my strategy, and I was still sprinting on the row too. Um, like another day or two in the week, I was working on my sprints, and I was really focusing on that stroke pattern of using my arms and slowing it down and trying to breathe a little more in between strokes. And I just changed the strategy a bit. I looked at my numbers and I saw where I was going wrong, um, and then I just, you know, shut my brain off and worked on, you know, getting in the zone a little better. And
Yeah.
finally, I was able to get it done. I got 81:47, I think, in 30 minutes, which was a 150 500-meter average for 30 minutes,
Mm.
which, you know,
Wow.
I was pretty happy about.
Nice. I got some work to do then because I remember like yeah, I was on that, and I remember I noticed once I started making longer strokes, it became like easier,
Hmm.
or not
Yeah,
not easier, it became harder actually, but the time started going down. I
yeah,
noticed that was the difference. So like less reps and more like
more power.
yeah. I think I don't want to compete against you, but I think we should have like row machine
Mhm.
competitions,
Yeah,
like
yeah. Actually, someone here just said we should do a live
live
rowing
rowing class.
class. I'm
That's
looking
that's
at.
my roommate over in the
Oh,
next
cool,
room.
cool.
But
I see
yeah,
Caprito was
I'd be
here too. Caprito and some other guys. Thanks for all the love, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. Um, yeah,
but
man. I
yeah,
think
like
rowing is something every combat athlete needs to be doing. 100%.
hmm. Yeah, I was thankful we got a row machine right before quarantine came in. I'm
Oh,
like, oh
perfect.
man, I was thankful for that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like I know Fight to Wins are doing matches again. I see you're on it. I want to ask you a little bit
Hmm.
about that as well. But I was talking to my dad about it because I was getting offered matches. I'm like, man, I haven't been able to train at all. And my dad's like, well, you've been on the row machine every day. Just throw a row machine on the mat, and do
Yeah.
something there. I'll
You,
do a
you you
competition
haven't
that way.
you haven't gotten a couple guys together once or twice a week to roll at
Uh,
all?
I haven't been able to do too much. I have mats in my place and everything, but I'm in such a kind of a hot area where it's kind
Oh
of
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a little scary too.
Uh-huh.
I can't I'm not really taking too many chances. I definitely think I'm getting to the point where by next week I'm like, okay, I think we need to kind of have some trust and kind of like figure out
Yeah,
something small. But at least within people in my town, it's funny. Like I haven't left this bubble of like this small square mile radius for like over a month now, so
yeah.
or no, for however long it's been going. So it's been a little difficult in this area, especially since like people are kind of living on top of each other.
Hmm. I can only
But
imagine.
yeah, yeah. So it's difficult, but it is what it is. I've been able to kind of make up for it. I remember like you were saying, like it was hard to adjust, but just kind of like figured out a schedule where I was basically mimicking my training sessions, but doing more workouts instead. And
Hmm. Hmm.
obviously I'd love to be working technique, but I can at least say that like when I go back, I feel like the strength will still be there, the cardio hopefully will still be there. I'm just kind of doing what
Yeah.
I can,
Oh no, for
but
sure. The row work and everything else that you've been doing. I mean, you're yeah, 1 week and you'll be ready.
yeah. How long would you think that, or okay, so asking about the fight to win match, have you been able to train much for this time for this match?
So up until last week, I was training twice a week.
Okay.
Um, I had a good little group, and keep in mind here, it's been a lot more mild than what it's like out there. I mean, I say a lot. I mean, it's a completely different situation, I believe. I mean, I haven't seen it firsthand there, but Oklahoma's being in the middle. I mean, and everything's so spaced out, and we're not nearly as populated or on top of each other as what you guys are, or places like Miami or California. Um, we've I mean, we felt it, but it's been pretty mild. It was a bit of a ghost town early on, but right after the first few weeks, I mean, people were starting to get out.
Yeah.
There's just a lot more space here. I mean, we have our
Hmm.
yards, we have a lot of room, a
Yeah.
lot of room.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, we haven't gotten hit that bad, and I was still coming to the academy every day and trying to keep my full-time employees moving and working on things. And inside of that little group, of course, I have my few instructors um, that I'm close with, and we're still working. And so I was rolling with a few guys twice a week from around the third week all the way until last week. So a good month. And then when I got the call from Fight to Win, that hey, we're starting shows again, I sent out a message to my guys and I was like, hey, look, and things we could already see that we were going to the next phase 2 here. Like they're getting ready to start kids like youth sports once again.
Okay.
Youth camps are coming back at the end of the month. So like I said, here is much more mild, and that's why they're hosting the Fight to Win in Dallas, because everything here in the middle of the country is not quite as serious. And so the vibe started to change, and people were ready to get back out. And so I sent a message to everyone. I said, like, hey, look, Fight to Win's coming back. I want to jump on a show. I need guys. I need bodies. And so last week was the first week that I trained. I think I got 5 sessions in last week, and
Nice.
man, it was great. I was so sore. I was like, oh my God, I was so sore. I was sleeping so good. Best sleep I had since quarantine started.
I miss that. I
Um,
miss sleeping good.
yeah, when you're just exhausted and you just pass out. Yeah.
I miss those
So
days.
yeah, got some good sessions in last week, and finishing this week strong. Hit my 30-minute row on Monday, knocked out my goal, and I'm excited for some Pajada next Saturday.
Nice, man. Do you ever see yourself like you're even talking about like how you need competition and that if you couldn't compete in jiu-jitsu or you couldn't compete in MMA, it had to be on a row machine. It had to be kind of within yourself. Do you ever see like a certain point where you're not competing as often, or because you're always still staying active a certain way? Is it kind of hard to fathom a life without being active and competing in some way, or do you kind of with maybe this quarantine time and seeing how much else you're doing, do you see that time? Is it easier to kind of envision, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. I'm definitely a fighter, man. It's in my heart, it's in my spirit. I love that challenge, and I feel like it's also part of my responsibility to be that example for my students, my guys. Keep
Mhm.
myself sharp, you know, stay in shape, just live that lifestyle. And if I'm on the mats every day, teaching and I'm training and I'm moving and I'm staying in shape, I'm taking care of myself, um, then it's like, why not? Put that challenge there, and I know it's only going to make me better. Now, of course, I can't, you know, I can't keep up with the adult level forever. Right now, I still feel like, I can fight the young guys, at least maybe in a super fight, like a just one match, a single match.
Mhm.
A tournament would be tough, especially 2 days. Nowadays, the next day, I'm pretty sore. I'm pretty tired. It's not like when I was a kid. Um, so that would be hard, but a super match, I think I can keep that up for at least a few more years, even against the young guys, and so I want to do that, and everything changes. Like now, I don't have anything to prove. I'm not chasing titles or medals, or records or anything like that. That was stuff that was on my mind, 10 years ago, or even, 15 years ago. Um, so, now it's much different. It's just purely for the love, for the challenge, and like I said, being an example for my students and everybody on my team, and keep myself sharp as well. I know
Yeah.
I keep learning, um, but you know, I want to start a family, and I'm sure when I have kids at home and even more responsibilities, that will have to slow down, and that's fine. Like I said, this time has helped me embrace the other other projects and other things that I can do with myself to push me and you know, just share, embrace that teaching and sharing everything that I've learned from all these years of battles. But 100%, at least 2, 3, 4 times a year, who knows, whatever I can manage, I'm gonna have to step on the masters divisions and just keep doing what I do. If I'm already there coaching my guys and I'm training with them, getting them ready, it's like I don't see how I could resist. So
Yeah.
you're gonna see me. You're gonna see me in the master divisions forever. I'm gonna be the American Megaton, 100%.
Nice. It's funny. I asked that just because, like, sometimes I feel like an issue for me is that I'm very one track minded. If I'm training, I'm training for myself. If I'm teaching, I have a hard time, training the way I'd like because I really want to, focus on the people that I'm trying to help out. So I
Hmm.
was always kind of envisioning that when I open a school someday, which is a goal of mine, that I would struggle with having that balance,
Hmm.
between competing and training up. But I can also imagine at the same time that maybe my mindset would change, where once I'm in the school, then I would want to use my competing as more of like a motivation for my students than anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So I could see how that could happen. For me, I have a hard time like
Hmm.
shifting that kind of selfish training into more of like a selfless preparation where I'm also
Hmm.
helping out other people as well. But
Yeah.
how is that balance for you? Like, not only were you still teaching while you were also competing in MMA full time as well and
Oh yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I I uh, I took over my father's school in well, I mean, it's kind of a long story, but he had a heart attack in 2009
Hmm.
and kind of forced me to step up. And I was already inside the school, of course, every day teaching and helping out. But then at that moment, it's like, all right, I need to step up and really become more of a businessman,
Yeah.
and try to improve the operations and run. I was really running the school at that point. And so then leading into the next year, I officially took it over and helped him kind of semi-retire, focus on his health and not overdo it. He was kind of a one-man show. Up until then, like he was answering the phones and signing up people and teaching classes, and he built it from the ground up. And um, he's a proud OG Latino man that had a bit of a hard time letting go of that.
Yeah.
And then when his health was at risk, it was like, look, Dad, it's time. You know let me do what I can do. You can still be involved, but no stress. I don't want you to stress anymore because I mean he literally almost died on the mats. Um, and so that was 2010 when I took it over officially. I was, still like 26 years old, just focused on winning medals. That was the biggest thing
Yeah.
on my radar. My vision was just medals, and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, I need to. I'm doing this for something bigger now. I wanted to provide for my family, help my dad retire. He wasn't really, our school was he didn't have anything to fall back on. I'll just put it like that. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't that it wasn't successful, but it wasn't enough of a success that if he said, okay, now that my health is like this, I need to retire. It wasn't gonna. He didn't have any money or any systems in place to be able to do that. And when I saw that, I was just like, man, it was so heavy on me. And I knew that I needed to be there for him and take care of him and make sure that he could retire. And then I also realized that that was something that I needed to make sure it didn't happen to myself. And so at
Yeah.
that point in time, I became very much more business minded, and learning about marketing and running a small business, and putting systems in place and developing staff, and I mean on and on and on and on and on. It was all a huge, huge learning process, with a lot of growing pains inside of it. But I knew what I was doing it for. Like I said, it was for family, and and to make sure that I learned from the lesson of my father and make sure I didn't follow the same circle, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just like, man, you know, sometimes we can we can we can be a little too comfortable with living our passion, right? And just being like, you know,
Hmm.
I don't need much. I don't need much because I get to do what I love, and and you know, I have great people around me, and blah 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 blah. And so it's really easy for us to say, you know what, I have a little apartment, or you know, I have a small space, um and I'm fine with that. But then when you look at when you're going to be older and needing to be able to retire or provide for your family and things like that, it's like, you know what, uh, it I don't feel bad for wanting more, you know.
Yeah.
And when you have more, you can provide more, you can do more. You know, we didn't have instructors, we didn't have a staff, and so as I got deeper and deeper into the business, I just realized, okay, I want to grow this thing. I want a big, beautiful school. I want to be able to help others, you know, live jujitsu full time and teach and provide jobs and opportunities for them. And you know, I want to be comfortable. You know what I mean? I want to be able to live free and provide and be comfortable. And so, you know, once you figure out, okay, you have that purpose, then it gives you the drive. And so it's just all about putting on the right hat at the right moment. You know, if
Yeah.
I'm in the gym and I'm pushing myself to prepare for something, okay, that's who I am on that moment. When I'm done, if I'm hopping on the computer, or I'm doing a staff meeting, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, all right, I'm 100% focused on that. Then when I'm a teacher, I'm a teacher, you know, I'm 100% a teacher. And, you know, just being focused and giving your best to each role and responsibility that you have at that time. And I'll tell you what, man, it's made me even more driven. You know what I mean? Because um, it's like you feel even more sort of motivated and kind of proud of yourself. It's like I'm doing all these things, but I'm doing all of them well. And you know, I'm not just fighting for myself. I'm fighting for my school. I'm fighting for my team.
Hmm.
I'm fighting for my family. You know, you operate on a deeper level, and and it brings out the best of me. And I'm more productive with business and with you know, my outside projects. I'm even more productive when I have a physical goal as well, or an athletic goal, because that's part of who I am. And so if I'm not tapping into that, then I'm not really being who I am. So I can't do this other thing at the highest level either. You know what I mean? So I have to
Yeah.
tap. I want to be the best businessman, but I also want to be the best athlete. And you know, you just have to manage it all. It's hard, but it's very rewarding, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Do you feel like with having to balance so many different things, when you're on the mats and when you're training, maybe you value that time more? I can imagine for me that like if I since I'm just training full time, it could be easy for me to kind of be like not as mentally into it and not put as much of an effort because I'm like, well, I'm doing this all the time or
Hmm.
whatever. I
Hmm.
have all the time in the world to do this. But when you have like a specific time period where it's like, okay, this is my training time, I need to be 100% in on this because every other part of the day I'm doing something else. I'm staying active. I can imagine that like when you have those moments or where you have those times when you're doing a certain thing, you're like even more focused on it because you know you value that time that you're on the mat or training or you know even when you have the time to work on your business and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. That's kind of basically like what I was alluding to. You know,
Hmm.
when you're doing it 100%. And you know, we all have more time than what we think we do. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
like you've just, you know, in this time you're talking about how you've been promoting your brand and doing these lives, and you know, I bet you're going to continue doing these. You know, you can see
Yeah.
how, oh, I can fit in an hour or 2 hours of this each week. Um, you know, we all have more time than what we think. Like it's just scheduling it right, and knowing what you need to get done first. So then whenever you're in that moment, you're not thinking about something else, you know? And so I always start my morning with a little bit of business, getting on the computer, knocking out my emails, touching base with my staff, looking over our schedule and anything that I know I need to just kind of check off real quick before I jump into my first workouts,
Yeah.
And then when I'm working out, like that's what I'm doing. But then whenever I'm done, I'm not just like laying around or sitting on social media for an hour or two or playing video games or doing whatever.
Like
It's
I
just
might
like,
do.
yeah, you run immediately to the next thing, and it's like, okay, now I'm doing this. I have to get this done in this hour. And then it's this, and then it's that. And so that's where I mean, where you get that little bit of extra feeling of pride, because it's like, man, I'm literally doing everything I possibly can. And I see productivity and progression in each area, and it just makes you feel like a badass, man.
Yeah. It must be much more fulfilling. Like you can easily just be like kind of like the quote unquote jiu-jitsu bum and competing full time and racking up gold medals and stuff, but to also be able to, be productive in so many different areas, helping out other people, growing this
Yes,
gym, growing a team
yes,
and family and helping out, growing other staff members. Overall, when you look back at it, it must be like much more rewarding because even for me, sometimes when like, I always come back to myself a little bit with just seeing how I can be. I see myself as like I'll train full time and I'll even see at certain points I'm like, okay, I trained 3 times today, but what else am I really like
hmm
impacting people with or
hmm
myself or
hmm
how else am I improving myself? So this is really good. It's
Do you
motivating me
teach
as like
classes at Marcelo's? Do you teach classes
no,
there?
actually I don't. I'll teach privates, I'll do seminars and stuff like that, but I'm not like a full member at the gym or
Give
not a
yourself a
full instructor. Yeah.
put yourself on the schedule. Ask
Yeah.
Marcelo. Say, hey man, I want one class a week. Just
Yeah.
whatever works, and man, start doing it because it's so rewarding. It'll make you so much better too, man. Like
Yeah.
you'll have to really understand your whys. It's like, okay, this is what I do,
Mm.
but why do I do that? Why do I make this grip? Why do I believe in adjusting my hips here versus there? You're going to get all these questions. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to deliver your knowledge and your information and what you have to share, how you're going to deliver that to where it's absorbed, the way you want it. How do you want them to see jiu-jitsu? How do you see it?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
man, you're going to fall in love with it. The same way you're trying to put out good vibes and teach people through these lives, do that with your classes and with your jiu-jitsu. And you're going to have the best feelings after those
Yeah.
classes, especially when you start seeing your guys, use your teachings, your techniques, and they're thanking you and they're hitting their next levels. It's going to make you feel so good. And it's only going to set you up for more success later on down the line. Whenever you are running a school, you should spend one day teaching and one day shadowing whoever the business manager is, the office manager. You should shadow them and say, hey, what are you doing today? Is it
Mm.
calls, emails, retention stuff, uh, marketing, promotions? Like, what are you doing? And just start learning about it now, man, because just like the journey from white to black is long and hard. When you're a business owner, you're going to be a white belt business owner.
Yeah.
And if you can, start to get that knowledge now and maybe jump in as a blue belt or a purple belt, with everything in a much better place for success, that's only going to help you, get to those 100 plus, 200 plus, 300 plus student marks so much faster.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, learn while you can, right? It's better to learn now than when you
Yeah.
actually or have a business thrown on
Yeah.
you or something like that.
Do it before your
Did
name
you?
is on the
Yeah.
lease. Before your name is on the lease, because then
So you kind of had
everything
to, yeah,
changes.
you had to kind of learn on the. Well, you were with your father all the time, but you kind of had to learn a little bit as you went along. Are you
Yeah,
saying then?
yeah, and I mean um, you know, the school, like I said, it was business wise. There was a lot of room for growth. Of course, martial arts wise, and the instruction was world class. Always, my dad is an amazing martial artist, and we had already. I mean, I already had a world title. Um, up to that point, I was already on the podium at the Black Belt Worlds. A few times. But we still only had like under 100 students.
Yeah.
Competition does nothing for your business.
Yeah.
And all the history that we had as the first black belts in Oklahoma, the first American father and son jiu-jitsu black, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, business wise. And so I just went outside of my comfort zone of competition, and going into, okay, I'm going to be a white belt at business now. Started going to events and learning, and just gathering up knowledge. The same way, you surround yourself with world champions to become a world champion in jiu-jitsu. You got to find the
Hmm.
world champions in business, in marketing, and just learn. But yeah, it's super important. And I just say, do a little bit of that now as part of your weekly routine. Set aside some time for that. Work on your teaching game and work on your business game, and it's only going to set you up for more success later. And like I said, you know, we all deserve, I mean, great lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't play basketball or football, or we're not doing those things that pay so great. Boxing compared to MMA. I mean, all that stuff, we're not in that realm. So that means we have to step up our game outside of the athletic part, and be smarter, and understand the business better, which is good. It's good. We can sit back and complain, oh, I wish I was making millions, but then you might be doing dumb stuff with your money because you haven't elevated your mind. You know what I mean? And so we gotta study, and be learning all those outside things, and then just transferring our knowledge and our mindset of everything that jiu-jitsu has given us. Surrounding yourself with the right people, helping others, and all those lessons. Never giving up, failing forward, blah 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 blah. All the resilience, all the things that we learn on these mats, problem solving, asking questions. You got to put that into work in something outside, and work on your business game, and then you can have your $1 million home one day, and be like, yeah, I did all this. Big huge school, 500 students, looking at all the people that you've helped, all the lives that you've impacted. That just wouldn't happen if you didn't study on how to do that.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I'm definitely going to save this video. So if I ever get lazy with it, I'm going to come back and listen to you talk about it again.
Yeah, come
But
visit sometime. You're more than welcome to
I
see what
definitely
we're
want
doing.
to for sure. I definitely like this makes me want to get around a little bit more, so I'll definitely make sure to come by. But I did want to shift over the subject a little bit, and actually, I kind of wanted to try to maybe tie that in a little bit. Like dealing with challenges, you have obviously had to deal with balancing a lot of different things. I was a huge fan of your podcast with Joe Rogan I think the most recent one you did with him,
Hmm.
and you were talking about that training camp that you had leading up to your last fight. And for me, I guess the biggest anxiety I was getting listening to is like, man, how is he mentally overcoming all these challenges? Like first the learning of your brain condition, and then you tore or pull your hamstring really bad or something, I believe you said,
Hmm.
and just a bunch of other things. And how could you go into a huge fight like that without feeling like just a sense of doubt? You're still what was the mental process like for you there, and to be able to be like, I'm still gonna go in there and compete and do my thing and still be able to come out with a win as well. Like I would imagine it'd be very mentally challenging to go in there and be like all there and like feeling like, okay, I can still do this.
um, well, by the time that the night of the fight came, all that was the past, and it
Hmm.
was just being in the moment. And I 100% believe that all of that only made me stronger, and reaffirmed my purpose, my why I was there, and why it was important for me to go out there and give my absolute best. Um, there's so many things, different elements I can say within that, but um, in the middle of it all, when I'm in the camp, and just, yeah, dealing with the thoughts of, am I just hurting myself every time I get hit? Like, is something bad going to happen to me? All the health concerns, um, and then just wondering, am I going to get approved? That was such a big issue. Of course, the health is number one, but I gotten to a point where I was like, look, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I know that I need this fight. I have to do this fight. I'm not pulling out of this fight. I want this fight. This is my life's work. This is everything. Me, my team, my family. We've given everything for this, and I need this opportunity to not just fight for the belt, but also fight someone of that caliber, and just know what I'm capable of, because that's the whole reason why I started going further and further in MMA was to reach my full potential. I wanted to know how good I could be, because my whole life is martial arts. I have so much other martial arts history, well before jiu-jitsu ever came into my life. And
Yep.
so, like I said, it was a life destiny, a life goal. And I wasn't there just as a jiu-jitsu guy. I was there for something that started way back, for my father,
Hmm.
and so anyways, I knew I wanted that fight, and I knew, okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm literally like accepting something serious to happen to me. But it was like, it's going to be worth it. I can't not do it.
Yeah.
And so then it just came down to like, all right, can I even get approved to fight? Is this even going to happen? And then trying to give your best every day in training for something that you may or may not even get to do, Um, so, I mean, it was super hard, but everything came down to the people that I was around, man. I was around so much love, so much support. Only a couple guys knew. Um, Mauricio Amado, who's my Muay Thai and MMA coach from Evolution Thai, and Shanji Hibero. Those are my two brothers. And they were there with me in Brazil while I was going through it all. And of course, my fiance, she knew as well. And I was like FaceTiming her every day, just, crying and just, an emotional roller coaster trying to talk it out with her. And same thing with Mauricio and Shanji. And, and they just gave me so much love and support, and really just kind of carried me through the camp, because quite honestly, it was the worst fight camp I had ever had. I mean, I was training so bad. My performance in training was terrible, because of everything that was affecting my focus. I couldn't sleep, and that's why I got hurt. You know what I mean? It makes
Yeah.
complete sense. You
Yeah.
always get hurt when it's something like that. And at the end of the day, we did it together, and they got me there. And then once I was there, I just knew. I was just like, man, I'm not here to fight for money. I'm not here to fight for fame. I'm not here, for even just for the belt or anything like that. I'm here to show my life's work and represent the people that I love the most, that love me the most. It was just all love, man. Like, it was a family thing. We did it together, and everything that I went through, the fight that I went through before the fight, I mean, it made the actual fight easy, easy.
Yeah.
Even though I got beat up a little bit, and that fifth round was, no one expected me to come out that way. When I heard Shanji say the last round for the rest of your life, I was like, that's it. I'm not gonna leave this cage without being ready to just die. Like, I'm giving every ounce of everything I have out there, and that's where I was able to pull out that fifth round. So, now I like to think that, like, I try to preach this motto of, like, you know, just a reminder, look at the quarantine we're in. Like, you never know. You never know. Don't take anything for granted. Give everything as if it's your last, as if it could be your last. How are you going to train if it was your last day to train? How are you going to compete? How are you going to fight if it was your last competition ever? You know, um, Make it fun like it's the first one, but take it serious like it's the last one.
Yeah. That's awesome. I like your motivation for competing as well. It's not just for any particular result, but it's for the people around you as well. That's something to I think that can motivate anybody. And that had to have been something that, inspired you, especially having the right people around you. You're fighting for them as well,
Hmm.
not just yourself. So That's awesome. That's a good way to think of it for sure.
Yeah, man.
Um, so we have like 3 minutes left, and sometimes this cuts us off a little early. So I want to make sure at least we get to say goodbye. I wanted to ask, how are your hands after so many years of training? How are your fingers now? Can I see how they look after all these years?
Well, this side, it's not so bad, but check this out. You see this thing in my hand
Ooh,
right there?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you can see that, right?
yeah.
That's
Oh,
been there
I
for
have
a
something
long
like
time.
that too. I have something like that too
Yeah, you
here. I don't know if
do.
that's the same. Is that a
I like
jiu-jitsu thing?
pulled a tendon in there
That
years
must have been.
ago, and
Hmm.
it pulls
Yours is way
my
worse.
fingers shut. It tries to, like, it pulls them together, and so
Hmm.
opening this hand is hard. And if you see,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you can see, like, my wrist flexibility
That's
here
that's
is
it.
terrible. It's terrible, because of that, and it actually goes into my elbow and even up into my shoulder and my neck. Like, the
Oh
lines
man.
just continue to run. So my right side is a little tough on that side. That's from all that right hand in the collar.
So,
So
so
nowadays I actually play a lot more left hand in my collar.
hmm.
But they're a little twisted up. But
Yeah.
this side isn't that bad. Of course, I got kettlebell hands and whatnot. But
So you're telling me I'm pretty much screwed in the next 10 years?
we all are. We all are.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's no better way. No better way, man.
Man, I always my dad was a triathlete. He always say that like he's got his issues now from all the triathlons that he would do, but he would tell me that he would just rather be, just super well spent by the
Yeah.
time his time is up. And I feel that way as well. Feeling kind of fresh right now is a weird feeling, without being able to train. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine like that sore feeling you got, that kind of pain. It's like something that you missed, and it's something
Oh
that
yeah.
felt good to
Oh
have
yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
man, we,
with
we
that,
got we got one body. We got to put them to use. We gotta
yeah,
gotta put some miles on them.
use everything we're given, right?
That's right.
But man, I was just saying, like, I'd love to be able to send you and your gym some tape, if you guys
Yeah,
don't have
yeah,
any
for sure.
already.
I'd love to.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
an avid tape user. I always tape my fingers. I used to tape my
yeah.
toes too because my toes are so big.
Huh.
They would get jammed up. But nowadays they're not bad. I realized that putting them together kind of actually made it a little worse. They need to open more. Um,
Yeah,
but my fingers for sure, man. I tape up my fingers. It'd be awesome.
yeah, yeah. So we'll send it out to you. But before this thing cuts us off, I don't know. I just want to say thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate it, and stay safe. Hope everything training goes good. And if I don't talk to you before your fight, then good luck in your match as well.
Man, it's my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. Keep doing your thing. Put out that good energy. Keep working hard, building your brand. You're a great representative and one of our best for American champions. And I'm always rooting for you. I fully believe you're going to get that gold one day. So just, man, keep giving it everything you got. And no matter what, we're proud of you. But definitely look forward to talking to you more and getting on the mats with you one of these days.
Thank you, man. Thank you for the inspiration. Hey,
My pleasure.
take it easy.
All
Take it
right.
easy,
Take care, man.
guys.
Take care,
Have a
everybody.
good